This week on Moonshine and Music.
Add more than anything. The guy, Adam Calfee, who was the band leader, we had one practice. He's like, here's a tape, listen to this, and then come back for practice and we'll sing. And he goes, try to add some harmony to it. And so I got the nickname VD and from a Christian band because he said it added vocal depth. He just looks at me and goes, you got VD, man. You got VD. And of course, I'm thinking something completely different, but...
Won't seem like that long ago I took you as my bride. Had no one else I want standing by my side.
Hello everybody, welcome to episode 23 of Moonshine and Music, the perfect music show. My name is Joe Shelton, and I am your host for today and every day. Every Sunday we put together this show and let you know a little bit about artists and what they're going through in the world, where they came from, and help you to get to know them. And we let them perform live and in high quality right here. Anyway, today's guest is Mikey Goode, and Mikey is not just a great music artist and songwriter. He is also a cooking show star. RecipesThatCrock.com. That is his domain, and he puts together a video YouTube show on cooking, which is really entertaining. And every once in a while you can catch him playing some music out live somewhere, writing some songs. He's putting together a record. Anyway, today he is on the show, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So let's get started right here, right now on Moonshine and Music. All right, welcome to Moonshine and Music, Mikey Goode.
Hello, nice to be here.
Good to see you again. Where to begin? We usually start off with, childhood. Where were you born? Where are you from? All that.
I was born in Danville, Indiana. I was raised in North Salem, Indiana, about 25, 30 miles west of here, in the middle of a junkyard. That's what my dad did for a living, was he sold junk. He had a filling station, service station, all that, until I was about 12 years old. But ever since he was born in a junkyard as well. That's what his daddy did. So I was raised in the middle of a junkyard and worked in it all my adolescent life and teenage life, and then got to escape by going to college, so I didn't have to do it anymore.
Oh yeah. But, so did you go to school down there? What was the?
I went to college. I went to Tri-West was our high school, and then I went to Indiana State for college. Okay. So close enough to home so I could come see Mom, but far enough away where I could say, Dad, I got stuff to do at college. I can't have time to come work in a junkyard this weekend.
So when you when you were growing up, did you play music at an early age? Sports? What was your big things?
I was in band. I was definitely had a ball in our marching band. I was a drummer back in the day, snare drummer in a marching band, and then I kind of learned. A friend of mine sat me down and kind of taught me how to play the drum set. And so I did that. When I was 17, I kind of expressed some interest and said, I wouldn't mind a guitar for Christmas. And so they bought me a used Ibanez. And I got an old 6-string at home, no pickups, no nothing. The action on it was probably about a good maybe quarter-inch, from the strings to the neck. So really build up that core strength in your hand because the action was horrible on it. And I played that a little bit. Fell out of it. My senior year was more about girls and being the cool senior and stuff like that, so I kind of fell away from it. And then I got to college and I found out real quick, chicks dig guys who play guitar. It really, you hear the joke about it all the time, but you get there and then somebody will see this guitar that you brought from home just to decorate in your dorm room. They're like, "Oh, you play guitar?" I'm like, "I better learn." And so I started playing it. I was in a little band in college.
What was the name of that band?
The name was Eddie Phi. It was a little Christian band that some buddies had I put together, and they're like, we need somebody who sings background vocals. And until then, I didn't sing much. I was in choir and stuff, but I couldn't really carry a tune in a bucket. And the only way that I really learned how to sing was my aunt. Since I was a little kid, she would pick me up every Sunday morning and take me to Sunday school and church. And then I stood next to him in church, and I would listen to her and her husband sing together. And Uncle Delmer was always on melody, and Aunt Doris was always on harmony. And I started to hear that how to make music happen, how to make it pretty, how to make it dissonant. And I learned how to sing through them, through singing old church hymns, Old Rugged Cross and Amazing Grace and How Great Thou Art, the songs that we all, kind of grew up knowing. And then I got to college and kind of messed around with this band and started learning some background harmonies and stuff, and found out I could really add more than anything. The guy Adam Calfee, who was the band leader, we had one practice. He's like, here's a tape, listen to this, and then come back for practice and we'll sing. And he goes, try to add some harmony to it. And so I got the nickname VD. And from a Christian band, because he said it added vocal depth. He just looks at me and goes, you got VD, man. You got VD. And of course, I'm thinking something completely different. But
so he didn't understand what he was saying?
In his mind, he was thinking, you're adding vocal depth. You got VD, brother. And
that's interesting.
In my head, I'm thinking maybe a penicillin.
I went to Ball State, and when I was there, somebody vandalized all the stop signs around campus.
Yeah.
And they put VD on the bottom of them, so they all said stop VD. So what they were really saying was they needed to stop the vocal depth. It was just too much for them.
See, and that's, you got to have vocal depth. I think you got to have that harmony. Harmony's good, but
does penicillin take care of vocal depth? Depth?
I don't know. I'm allergic to it. I could never take it, so I always kept.
Apparently,
the VD.
it didn't. You never got rid of your VD. It's hot, so we have to stop and drink water.
Yeah, it's toasty.
Hydration is needed.
Yeah.
So. You started playing in a band in college. Is that when you started writing songs?
No, that really didn't happen until later on. Like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. I had no idea. I could kind of figure out harmonies and stuff like that. And I guess I would listen to the radio and kind of, I was always really good at making parodies of songs and hearing a song and. So you're like the Weird Al Yankovic of the generation. See, I admired the guy because he could take this popular song and ruin it, in a totally different way, but make it hilarious. And I was the funny guy. I was the kid who was picked on. So you find out that to be liked, if you can't be athletic, and if you aren't as musical as what you should be, and I was neither one of those at the time, I could be funny, and so I could make a parody out of a song after listening to it one time. And it was something I did. So I parodied a lot of stuff, but I guess I didn't really start writing songs until I got married. And that's and I really focused. I found that new passion to play music again. To really learn how to play the guitar. And I guess I grew up musically under Google and YouTube. I've learned pretty much everything. I've never taken a lesson from anybody. I went to the internet and said, how do I play this song? And what are the proper ways to strike a chord and strumming pattern and things like that. And but it was about 2002. My wife and I were living in a mobile home there on the west side of Indy, just north of Avon. And we moved up in the world and we got DirecTV. And at the time, DirecTV had this channel that would play 12 hours of VeggieTales, the same episode over and over for 12 hours.
I remember that channel.
6 to 6. And then from 6 o'clock at night until 6 a.m. in the morning, they played Eric Clapton's One More Car, One More Rider tour. And it was filmed in the Staples Center. It was their last couple nights they filmed this over. And I watched it, and I actually got to, because everybody liked Clapton. Clapton was cool, and he could play guitar really well. But I never really paid attention to an artist on their style and things like that until I saw that concert. And I watched him. and Nathan East, his bass player, and Steve Gadd, his drummer, and Andy Fairweather Lowe, and all these. Billy Preston was in this band, so he had like this super group of people, and I'm like, everybody is so good, and they make it look so easy. And Clapton would just play these solos that were, nothing you heard on an album. He would make a new one up every night, but they were so clean and so amazing. And I watched that in awe, and I went, I want to do that. I want to play guitar where I'm not paying attention to what I'm playing. I'm just playing what comes out of me. And so I started, that's where I learned how to play. And then, a few years later, I'm like, well, maybe I could write my own stuff. So I kind of wrote what I was about at the time. I wrote some other stuff, that wasn't that good. But when I started focusing on what do I enjoy, or what makes me who I am, and I started writing about stuff like that, then it became fun. Then it became, man, I could really do something with this. So about 20 years later, I finally started doing it.
So, out of college, what did you do? You went to college for?
I went to college, graduated with a BS in criminology, and I got an internship my senior year with it was IPD at the time, what's now IMPD, the Metropolitan Police Department here in Indy, and got an internship, which led to a job offer, and went through that whole process of a year of trying to get on this police department that everybody in the world wanted to get on. And I got on and lasted 4 weeks, messed up my knee, started working in the jail because they're like, well, your knee has to get better to finish the academy, so we're going to put you in the jail and you're going to fingerprint people, and then we'll bring you back come the next rotation. And so did that for a little bit. Then I went back into the academy, lasted 4 more weeks, and they showed a video of a police officer, a state trooper down in Georgia, got shot and killed, and they showed it like beginning to end. And I was newly married, still I hadn't grown up yet, didn't know what I really wanted to do with my life. It was just what I always thought I wanted to do. I'm like, nope, I'm out. I didn't want to, have my wife worry about me, with that. And things weren't that good at home at that time. Like I say, we were newly married and newlyweds. You're learning how to live together. And she was watching me change, because when they put you in an academy or, in military, in the military, whatever, they're constantly grilling you and trying to change your person, to be what they need you to be, whether it's a soldier, a police officer, whatever. And my wife was watching it at the same time. And this is the person that she'd known for like 4 years as one guy. And I'd come home and all of a sudden I was hugging the walls when I was walking, through the house. Or she would say something and I'd say, ma'am, yes, ma'am, out of habit from doing it all day, She's like, this is weird, And so I quit. I went back to work at the jail, had a blast. It was a low-paying job, but it was great because it wasn't the same people that come in every day, and it was, it was almost entertaining, really. But it wasn't making any money whatsoever. And a friend of mine who I went to high school with told me about a job at the railroad, and said he was he pretty much was making my 2-week paycheck in 3 days. And so I'm like, I ought to check this out, And so I ended up applying, going to school for that, and for 17 years I've been a railroader until last fall. So.
Right. So, I know your story, but I don't know that everybody does. That's part of why you're here, to talk about it. I know you do a lot of music, and that's probably a big part of your life, but there's another part of your life where you're, a YouTube guy.
Yes.
YouTuber.
Yeah. A YouTuber, vlogger, online personality. I don't know. My wife is a food blogger, and she got good at it over time. She honed her craft, and she had a blog. She still has it. It's called Goodness, my last name, goodnessgracious.com. And she started making money off of it, and through ads and things like that. And she's like, you know what, this is really fulfilling. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I can contract out my other work on the side instead of, working for someone, just one entity. I can go work for everybody, and I could blog on the side and make a secondary revenue off of it. And she did that for a while, and then she started up recipes.crock.com, which is what most people would know her by. And that blog exploded. I mean, it just took off like a rocket. It's still flying really high. And it's all slow cooker recipes, instant pot recipes, things of that nature. And as she was getting really good at it, I was getting really bad at liking my job. And, working different hours and being away from home so much. And we she's like, she told me, because every year at the end of the year, she would write a goal list down. And these were her yearly goals that she wanted to meet over the next 12 months. And then one year she was going through like her second or third year of goals. And going through and she goes, all right, I'm going to start writing some new goals out. And she goes, by the way, you're one of them. And I'm like, I'm one of them. What do you mean? She goes, well, you like to do videos, usually silly videos, funny stuff, you know, slapstick. She goes, I would like to develop that. I don't know what to do with it yet, but I really feel like you've got something there. Why don't we develop the channel to where it's really got something with it? And she goes, now I'm going to tie my business with it. So there's a lot of requirements, you know, the criteria that we've got to meet or not meet, you know, as far as it's got to be something for everybody. You know, it's got to be something that my kid could watch, and, you know, but others will enjoy as well. And so we took a business trip down to Florida, and over the course of a long weekend, we sat next to the pool and wrote. I got pages in a journal at home of all kinds of ideas of things that, you know, might work or might not work. And the one that we picked up on was, you know, I'm like, why don't I cook your recipes from your blog and put them on the YouTube channel and show people how easy it is to make really good food? You know, the shtick was, well, if this redneck could do it, anybody could. She's like, you know, let's go with that. We'll try it. So we went home. We tried a few other ideas, but the one that really stuck was cooking Chris's dishes. So our YouTube channel turned into As Good As It Gets. And that's where, you know, every once in a while you'll see some music on there, and I'm probably going to branch that to another channel at some point. But the majority of it, and will continue to be, is me. Sometimes it's me and my, actually now it'll majorly be Chris and I. Every once in a while our daughter Miss Ad comes in and joins us, and then Aunt Lou, who is my wife's sister, who also works for the business, you know, develops recipes and does everything. When she comes up every once in a while, we'll film with her, and everybody seems to love Aunt Lou as well. So that's one of the other sides of me anyway.
All right, so your channel, I mean, obviously you started out with nothing. Where are you at this point?
We've got, I checked, in fact, I just checked it a while ago. Everything's up really, really good right now. We're over 17,500, probably 17,515, 17,520 in subscribers. And 2 years ago I think we had just hit 1,000 and celebrated. So we gained 1,000 our first year. We gained like another 10,000 our second year. Then we gained another, you know, or another like 8,000 the second year, and then another 10,000, something like that the next year. So we're on schedule right now. Probably by the end of the year, I'm hoping to hit somewhere between 19 and 20,000. And it's a game, you know. Those numbers are, I guess, when you look at it as far as the success of a channel, you know, you're absolutely looking at those numbers. But what we look at more is the engagement with the people. You know, we've got people that I've never met in my entire life that I consider really good friends just by the way that they supported us on the channel. Some are even supporters on Patreon, you know, and but just the positive comments, because our tagline for everything now is laugh often, eat good food, and speak life. And we try to impress that upon our subscribers, who we call them the Crock Posse. And, you know, we
which
really,
I think is a great
my cousin, I got to give props to my cousin Wendell. He was a guy that I used to work with, and I told him, I said, we don't just want to call them our subscribers. We want to, you know, we want something to do with crock pots, but we don't know what. She goes, so you're wanting a name from your posse? And I'm like, Crock Posse, oh my gosh. I stopped everything I was doing. I was stopping trains to call my wife just to say, we got a name for our subscribers. But that's where we come from on what we do now is we cook good food. You know, if it shows up there on the channel, it's been tested. It's at least Mikey approved. And, you know, to where I know it's going to be good, that I'll eat it on camera and not grimace. But what we strive to do is we want to go beyond feeding your belly. You know, we want to be a channel that feeds someone's soul at the same time. That's where, you know, you laugh often. You'll see me burn myself, do something silly, come up with a dad joke almost every time on the channel. That's our laugh often. Eat good food. We're cooking good food.
So we need a dad joke on the spot now. I need
a dad joke on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, I was in the kitchen the other day and I started taking her utensils from her, and she's like, don't you take my favorite utensil. And I figured that was a risk I was willing to take. How was that? Was that pretty quick?
Totally right in
Thanks.
the dad. That's dad zone stuff.
But see, that's the other part of it is I want people to laugh, but I also want them to feel good about, you know, take pride in food or take pride in their life. And that's where the speak life portion of what we do comes on is, we want to speak life into people. Brennan Manning, very popular author, Christian author, says, in every exchange, you either give life or you take it. There's no equal exchange. And what we want to do when we're talking to a camera, we're not just talking to a piece of plastic and some glass and and a microphone. We're talking to the person on the other side of that camera, the person that's watching us on a monitor, and we want to make that impression of who we really are. We don't fake it on a camera. We are who we are. I got to meet a Croc Posse member of ours a couple weeks ago. Had a good time, went out for a beer. He lives real close, and I messaged him like, for somebody who lives this close, I would love to meet you. And we went out, and as we were talking, I said, I'm the same guy off camera that I am on camera. And he goes, I can really see that about you. And that made such an impression on me that we're not fake. And I want to be so transparent. We all do in our family for what we do on this channel. We want to be transparent. I'm the same person here that I am tomorrow morning when I go lead worship at church. The same person I am that goes and leads worship at church is the same person that goes and smashes his finger on a deck and can wake his neighbors up saying some pretty harsh things. I'm just that guy, So when you speak life into somebody through what we do on our channel or through my music, it's to lift them up, to build them up, whether it's, let me show you what love is. The marriage that I have is not perfect whatsoever, but it's what you make of it, for sure. And that woman, not only has she given me a beautiful child, and she supported me and still continues to support me, whether it's music, career, whatever it is. She is everything for me. And so when I play a love song, I'm not like, oh, let me write a love song that will make the ladies in the audience swoon. Honestly, I don't care about them. But I know that I'm going to show them this is the kind of love I've got for my wife, So that's the speak life. That's definitely the speak life portion of it,
So, it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love your channel. I've
Thank
watched and cooked a whole bunch of the stuff.
That's what we love to hear.
Your hat is food related.
Yes.
And yet it's my favorite movie related too. It's
Yours too?
Bubba Gump Shrimp
Yes.
Company. And the odd thing is that when we were coming here this morning to start shooting all these episodes, my daughter and I started talking about Forrest Gump in kind of a spiritual way, because to me, it's a movie made about the universal truth of the spiritualness of humans, no matter what their religion is, because I studied many different religions trying to figure out what I believe. And what I found was that they all have a common thread, which is human spirituality and the way people connect together and love each other. And Forrest Gump is, to me, one of the best movies ever because it speaks that language.
It's to me, it is my favorite movie of all time. I mean, it was there between that and Wizard of Oz, just because I like the musical. But no, Forrest Gump it's the movie. I've yet to see any movie that even comes close to it. And it's funny. It's got Tom Hanks in it, so you've got those two together. You can't go wrong.
Underneath it, it's talking. Forrest Gump is us. The way that we persevere when great things happen and when terrible things happen, and no matter what it is, that's the guy that's put in the middle of there. And you get to see how he copes with all those different things, and that's wonderful. But then you just look at it like, okay, so how do friendships get made? And there's like really a lot of that, and then, and I think that that sort of thing touches everything, and it it's obviously pervasive.
Oh, absolutely.
That those kind of things are in your life and in your channel.
Well,
so it's kind of cool.
Look at Forrest and how he lived his life. He kept running, no matter whether it was from something, boys chasing him in a truck throwing rocks, or in Vietnam and he was running, boys chased him because Jenny told him to run. And then he developed who he was, his sense of who he was through running, got him into football. It pulled him away from danger. It saved others' lives. And then it was a way to blow off steam. Whenever Jenny left, he takes 3 years and runs across the country back and forth, all that. But then, just like you said, with his demeanor, Forrest never saw a man for his color. He never saw a person for their sex. He never saw somebody for anything other than what was at their heart. He saw another human being. And if we all treated each other like that, not of, he didn't care where he sat on the bus. He just wanted to sit down. So he sat next to the pretty girl, where everybody else was shunning him because of his braces and his legs and because he was, slower in thought. And then later on, he could make friends with anybody, and he didn't see Bubba as the black man, from, Bayou Battery. He saw, he just saw this guy with a kind heart. The way he treated Lieutenant Dan, who treated him like crap in the movie. That's something else that I see is Lieutenant Dan was, he was hard, this hard military guy, and then he becomes friends with Lieutenant Dan, and in the end, Lieutenant Dan, exactly,
not just like in the war, but like
and he
mentally later,
and he didn't do it by, I think at one point he says, "I believe I'm going to heaven, Lieutenant Dan," and that's pretty much all they talk spiritually, other than the fact that Lieutenant Dan connects with God through a storm, as we all do, but Forrest, without beating Lieutenant Dan over the head with the Bible, just loved him as a person, as the child of God that Lieutenant Dan was. And I think that's all that Forrest saw. So, yeah, just like that is a moving movie, it really is. I want to live my life the same way. I have my beliefs, I firmly believe in Jesus. But if I were to, go anywhere and beat you in the face with the Bible, is that going to, no, it's not going to do anything.
It's the worst thing to convince anyone to beat him over the head with just about anything.
There's a verse in Colossians that says that you're to season everything, that you're to have with all your conversations, they're to be with grace and seasoned with salt. Now let's go back to cooking. If I don't put any salt in a dish whatsoever, it's going to be bland, right? You're not going to eat it. Go the other way. If I dump a whole batch of salt into it, a whole box of salt into something.
People accidentally grab the salt instead of the sugar?
I've done that. In coffee. Oh, it's the worst ever. It makes your face pucker. But it makes you not want it, But if I just season it with a little bit of salt, you're going to go, man, that tastes really good, And I think if we lived our lives like Forrest, where he's just, naturally seasoned with salt, he's not bland at all, but he doesn't force his belief or whatever on someone else. He just lives his life the way it is. It's attractive. It's tasteful. So that's what we do. We know what we believe. We even, I think in one of our earlier episodes, we even talked about it and said, so where we come from. This is what we believe. This is how we live our lives. Other than that, sit back and just enjoy the channel, because that's what we're here for. So that's what we do.
Well, you're going to play some music for us in just a minute?
Yes.
I really, really appreciate you coming on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
And I want to come and cook mac and cheese on your show.
I tell you what, as much as you've talked about that mac and cheese, I kind of want some. We do like low carb and stuff, but
well, this will be high carb.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. We need some high carb every once in a while, I think.
All right, great.
Hey,
Thanks
man.
for being here.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
We'll be right back with some music from Mikey Goode on Moonshine and Music. Next week on Moonshine and Music, in our season finale, Gypsy Moonshine is in studio, and they rock the house. A little bit of duo band action here, and it sounds a lot like this.
And it's all overwhelming. I'm trying not to lose my mind. Oh, 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 oh.
All right, first one I'm going to do is called Still Got a Crush. Well, it's Saturday night, we're out on the town, and I don't even notice anybody else around, because baby, I only got my eyes on you. Yeah, you still got my heart in the palm of your hands, and I feel so lucky just being your man. Yeah, baby, my whole world revolves around you. And I still get dizzy every time that you kiss me, and my heart skips a beat or two, because baby, I still got a crush on you.
devoted to you. And there won't never be anyone that comes between. 'Cause honey, don't you know you're still the girl of my dreams. Yeah, baby, I couldn't survive without you. And I still get dizzy every time that you kiss me, and my heart skips a beat or two. Because baby, I still got a crush on you. Oh, here we go. And I'm still getting dizzy every time that you kiss me, and my heart skips a beat or two. Because baby, I still got a crush on you. Thank you. So most of the stuff that I do is out of love. You get a wife like mine, you don't think of much else. I know that sounds sappy and all, but I'm a kept man and I'm cool with it because she's a good woman. She bought me this guitar on our 13th wedding anniversary, and she said, "I'm buying you this because I believe in you." And so, oh yeah. And so when I got the guitar, I was messing around with it. I loved this guitar even before I ever bought it, and I was like, man, if I'm gonna, honor her with her buying me this guitar, she gets the first song off of it. So this is a song I wrote for my wife called "A Better Man." It won't seem like that long ago I took you as my bride. Ain't no one else I want standing by my side. 'Cause even on the rainy days round you, the sun still shines. And I'm so glad you're mine. 'Cause you make me a better man just by being who you are. In my whole universe, you are the brightest star. And you are my best friend, and I'm your biggest fan. 'Cause you've made me, yeah, you've made me a better man. You can make my heart stop with every gentle touch. With the kind of love that you make, oh, it's almost too much. Ain't no better lover that I could ever find. And I'm so glad you're mine. 'Cause you make me a better man just by being who you are. In my whole universe, you are the brightest star. And you are my best friend, and I'm your biggest fan. 'Cause you've made me, yeah, you've made me a better man, yeah. With a love so unconfined, ain't never gonna be a day when you're not always on my mind. And you are my best friend, and I'm your biggest fan. 'Cause you've made me, yeah, you've made me a better man. Yes, you made me a better man. Yeah. Ooh, a better man. So glad you picked a cold day to do this. All right, last one I'm gonna do here. I reckon you want a 3, right? All right. I got tuned down for it. The other way. I grew up in a junkyard, literally in the middle of a junkyard. Our house was surrounded by scrap cars and trucks and equipment. And that's how Dad made his living, was cutting up steel and, sending it off to get processed. So, I don't know if you can tell this by looking at him, but I used to be a chubby little kid. And, but, yeah, I was a pacifistic kind of child and never wanted to scrap or anything like that, but I got picked on quite a bit. Till the summer that Dad said, all right, get off your butt, we're going out to work. And for the next 3 summers, he stuck me in that junkyard. He would cut up steel and I would throw it in a truck. And if I missed, it would bounce off the truck and hit me in the head. You have to do that a couple times to learn that you got to get that metal up in that truck. And so I got big, I got strong from it. And it's funny how the kids didn't want to pick on me no more. So this one's called Junkyard Dog. Chubby little kid, I was short and I was weak. I was never tough enough to get in a scuffle, so I turned the other cheek. And all them boys in high school used to love to push me around. It was fun to whoop up on a sad little pup and then knock me to the ground. But then summer came and Daddy put me in a junkyard working every day. I was slinging steel with my bare hands just to make him a little pay. And by the end of the summer I was 2 inches taller, I was strong and I was lean. I was built like a brick outhouse with an attitude. That junkyard made me mean. Well, everybody knows you don't mess with a junkyard dog, 'cause you might just bite off more than you can chew. You don't kick them around, you don't poke them with a stick, it's the last thing you should do. 'Cause what you gonna do when a junkyard dog gets turned loose on you? Let's turn it loose on. Well, I walked into that high school, broad shoulders standing tall. I was done being the boy that took a beating with my back against the wall. And all those boys that bullied me, they started stepping to the side. They knew I wouldn't take any more of their stuff and I wasn't afraid to fight. But there was one fella that wasn't too bright and he took a swing at me. Well, he swung and he missed, then I fed him my fist and a couple of his front teeth. And as he sat there all dazed and confused like a ship in the fog, you bet he learned his lesson that he shouldn't go messing with a dang old junkyard dog. Well, everybody knows you don't mess with a junkyard dog, 'cause you might just bite off more than you can chew. You don't kick them around, you don't poke them with a stick, it's the last thing you should do. 'Cause what you gonna do when a junkyard dog gets turned loose on you? I say, what you gonna do when this junkyard dog gets turned loose on you? Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I want to thank everybody for joining us today on Moonshine and Music. Thank you, Mikey Goode, for an incredible performance. Really, really awesome. Join us next week for the final episode of Season 1 with Gypsy Moonshine in studio. I want to thank our partner, Eat New Media, for putting together all the stuff they put together. If you need some video work, go to eatnewmedia.com. And Brent Smith, thank you for hosting the shows. We really appreciate it. And so I guess that's all I got for today. Why don't we wrap it up right here? Thank you for joining us on Moonshine and Music. Moonshine and Music is a presentation of Eat New Media in association with Notlehs Entertainment. Producers for today's program are Brandon Lay and Joe Shelton. Be sure to join us next time on Moonshine and Music.